Am I the asshole? For not giving my nephew half of my inheritance from my parents. Okay, some backstory. My brother got a girl pregnant basically right out of high school and was disowned by my parents because he wanted to stay in the kid's life instead of just paying monthly child support and going no contact. This led to him dropping out of college and working full-time to help support his girlfriend and his future kid. So recently my parents have decided to retire and move to the Bahamas, and they both left their companies to me, which are worth a good chunk of change since I was already working for them. Anyway, recently my nephew and his mom found out about this and inquired if they left their nephew anything. I told them that my parents didn't want anything to do with her or her kid and didn't leave her anything. My brother passed away 5 years ago. I thought that was all that was there to it, but she asked me if I would give her kid my brother's half of the inheritance. Some more context: my parents didn't want my brother to have anything since believe he could make good decisions as the head of a company. I told her this and I assumed that was it since she left. Unfortunately, a few days later she's been pestering me about doing the right thing and giving the kid his share of his grandparents' wealth, and has basically been being a massive nuisance. Edit: for clarity, it's not legally inheritance, I just called it that because that's basically what they did, transferred the assets I did get when they died to me a bit early since I don't know any other similar term. Your parents are assholes. Your family sucks, and your parents are awful. Info: I'm curious about if there's any information being left out. Is there something about your nephew's mother that your parents don't like? Their reactions seem excessive. Your parents are horrible people and absolutely are assholes in this situation. Disowning their son for not being a deadbeat was bad enough. But refusing to have a relationship with their grandson after their son died is even worse. Info: your parents have retired, not died, so how can there be any inheritance? Info: did you have contact with your brother and his family after the disowning? Your parents are the assholes here for not acknowledging their grandchild and trying to make their son reject his child. Now you are following in their footsteps. I don't think I'd give her half, but I think any decent person would want their nephew to grow up without being in poverty and want a relationship with their dead sibling's child. Maybe you could pay a monthly amount for child support. Not the asshole. Your parents are for wanting your brother to abandon his son, but that's a separate story. Your brother, prior to his death, was the one responsible for creating a will estate for his child. That being said, the money your parents gave you is yours to do with. Do you have a relationship with the girlfriend, or did she just turn up out of the blue with her hand out? Would your brother want you to help provide something for his child? If so, determine what amount or you feel is appropriate. You aren't obligated to half. Perhaps create a trust to contribute towards his college or a down payment for his future home. You don't have to hand over money, but can you at least pay for the kid's schooling so he can get a decent job? I can't fathom not wanting to get to know my brother's child. Just because your parents are nasty and controlling doesn't mean you have to be. Not the asshole. Your parents are still alive. If your nephew has a problem with what he's getting, he can talk to them about it. Info: I need to know the ethnicity of your parents and your SIL to form an opinion. Editing: for you're the asshole and ESH except SIL and the nephew. So, because your brother stepped up and took care of and loved the child he created, your parents disowned and disinherited him. And now you're following their terrible example and refusing your nephew and his mother money they could certainly use, since your brother is dead. Are you a family of cartoon villains? FFS. You're the asshole. ESH except your dead brother. Like just tick, to all of you. Your parents for disowning their son for being present in his child's life. You for wanting to continue that parade, which that's say. Wow. That's a hill to continue up and die on. Pearly gates for all of you, I'd bet. Your parents suck. You can respect your brother's memory and you can choose to help your nephew and have a relationship with him. You can choose to help him financially, bcs you can give him an allowance, make a trust fund for him, and generally be better than your parents and help him. Or you can be your choice, your conscience. I'm gonna say it, you're the asshole. Your parents punished your brother for doing the right thing, and you are just as big of an asshole as they are. Not the asshole, but your parents are. It seems to me that the wife found out now that she doesn't have to argue with the in-laws. She can guilt trip you out of the blue. You worked at the companies, so you get to keep them. Especially if you've had no steady contact with them. If you want to give him a job or not, that's up to you, but giving up half is a crazy ask. So, I think this is the rare yes but not necessarily wrong. As others have pointed out, there's no obligation to share any inheritance money. But is there a moral duty? Probably. What's legal, ethical and moral are often separate matters. Who needs enemies if they have a family like OP and their parents? Your family is really allergic to doing the right thing, eh? Your brother was the only decent one among you. You're the asshole, you and your parents. You're the asshole. Your brother did nothing wrong but step up and be the parent he should be. You've followed in your parents' point of view. I honestly don't understand how you could share this view. You've been handed a job and now a company. I'm not saying you should give half, but yes, you should give something, a helping hand, a job, something. Do you have to give your nephew some inheritance? Legally, no. The money is yours to do with what you will. Would it be the kind, moral, decent thing to do? Yes. Being legally correct and still being an are not mutually exclusive. Your brother sounds like a very good person. I am sorry that you all have to miss him so early. It is fine if your parents leave you the business while they are alive. It is not an inheritance, it is business succession. That said, it is horrible that your parents disowned your brother for doing the right thing. You could tell the mother of your nephew that you didn't inherit anything, but when the time is there, you agree with her that your nephew should get your brother's share of what is left of the estate of your parents, and that you hope your parents will do the right thing there. You and your parents are awful people. I would be ashamed to be related to any of you three. Inheritance is usually divvied up upon death, not retirement. And when your parents do die, the grandson-nephew can contest the will. Edited to add. Your parents don't sound like very nice people. Your parents are TA in this. So their son is dead. He had a son and the dumbass parents disowned the son because son wanted to be a good parent and stay in his child's life. The only good people from this family are the deceased son, grandchild and the mother of the grandchild. OP and his parents are trash. I know legally you don't have to, but morally you should. You're the asshole. You suck. You and your parents are. How they produced a decent guy like your brother is a mystery to us all. Not the asshole. It seems like you got the money because you worked at their company. People saying your parents are are also wrong and entitled because people can choose whoever they want to give their money to. You are only following your parents' wishes with their money, not the asshole. That being said, you could always set up an educational account that pays for some kind of schooling for your nephew. You could always set it up that he must remain child-free until the education is complete to get the money or something like that. You and your parents sound like bad people. Not the asshole, but your parents are. They punished him for daring to do the right thing as opposed to doing what they wanted. It's not your fault, but I would say that you should take the opportunity to correct a grave wrong committed by your parents. Not half, but maybe pay for his education in full and a stipend. Frankly, help your sil out too. You can afford to be magnanimous. Your parents aren't the best. They disowned your brother for stepping up so legally. There is no share of your inheritance to give to your nephew. Depending on how the contract's will was written, you might not legally be able to give them a part of what you were given. It's probably best to see a lawyer to find out your legal options and if your parents have any further say in what happens to the companies. They might be able to take it all back and leave both their children nothing.